Welcome, Harley. This is my pleasure to have Harley Gambrell here with us from Etowah Insurance out of Silver Creek, Georgia. Harley, welcome. A pleasure to have you. We had great conversations together, and I know you have a lot of things to share with our audience. So, without much ado, may I ask you what got you here? What's your story of origin?
Long story, but we'll make it simple to say focus on the insurance portion of this. So I left college. I was actually a father in college, became a father. So long story there, but when I left, I knew I needed to stay local. So I stayed in the Northwest Georgia area. And at the time, I thought there wasn't a lot of opportunities. It didn't seem like there were. Actually, now looking back, of course, hindsight, I see all kinds of opportunities and all kinds of things I should have done and that I would do differently now, even if I had to change. But
Mhm.
I fell into insurance. And what's weird about this was I actually went into the investment world. I was trading a little bit of derivatives at the time. I've become
Mm.
more of a derivative trader now, and I trade a lot. But if you look back at 2006, I was really into finance, really into my financial education, but there just wasn't a lot of opportunities here. We
Mm.
had an offer from several different businesses that offered me jobs. One was with a State Farm agency, and one was with a medical clinic that offered an accounting position. And I was kind of wrestling with both, but the commission got me. It was like, okay, commission plus base, that was pretty good. So I went that route. The insurance agency, though, they were actually focused on investments. The position was to be a registered rep for State Farm. So that's what drew me in. And I thought this was interesting because it fit in a way. But once I got into there and I started, working with customers and realizing I was talking about dollar cost averaging, I was talking about diversification. We only had so many funds. I mean, that's great. That's something that everybody needs, but that just wasn't a challenge for me. So it was like I was in the wrong place. I was here where I grew up, wrong city. I needed to really be somewhere else to actually capitalize on what I was interested in. But then I caught wind of what they were doing with insurance, and I saw the residual nature of insurance. It just captivated me. So I started learning and learning and learning. I went through and got all my license that I could get.
Wow.
Even at the time, got a variable products license, which I discontinued. No longer use that. I barely use my life and health license anymore. But property and casualty just was really appealing. And then once I got past the personal lines and started learning commercial,
Uh-huh.
it was like the whole world opened up. So much out there to learn. So that's at that point, after about 2 years, 2.5 years with the State Farm Agency, I opened my own company. And since then, we grew the company, grew it, for the last 16, 17 years. And here we are.
Okay, wonderful. Great story. So, Etowah, tell us more. What's your unique value proposition? What defines you compared to competition? How many clients, your book of business, anything that you want to share to situate your business?
Okay. So at first, we were just a general agency. So I started out with no
Yeah.
customers whatsoever. When I left State Farm, I would take anybody that needed insurance. Happy to. And still, I want to work with everybody, but you have to kind of narrow down your selections. So at the time, I was just working with anything: health insurance, life insurance, auto and home, commercial. But again, the commercial was still interesting to me. It was less transactional. So a lot of this other stuff was like, what do you want? Kind of explain the same thing over and over and over again. And I do enjoy that to a certain aspect, but not when it's something that's everyday knowledge. The stuff that you can go out and get with AI or the internet. At the time, there was no AI, or there wasn't, that we were utilizing. But yeah, there was the educational portion of it was important to me, but I was still after the money at the time. And I still am, but just I was after anything and everything that I could get. But then as time progressed, I stepped away a lot from personal lines, which I still do some personal lines. I've discontinued offering any health insurance many years ago.
Oh,
Think
really?
back when ACA started. That's when I got out of the health insurance market. Then life insurance, I am dabbling back into life insurance now, but I took a break from that as well. So I could just focus on my specialties on commercial. And as I grew in the commercial space, you get to the point where you're dealing with one thing or another. And I won't mention any industries because I don't have a customer that I don't want to work with now. But if I bring up any, random industry, it may sound like I'm talking about them, but it's really difficult to jump from one thing over here that may be a professional liability exposure over here to something that's more of a transportation exposure or
Yeah.
more something's industrial. So when you start spreading everything out, you have to keep up with a lot more information. I did it, but it took a lot of work. So now I've narrowed it down to where I'm still working with a lot of customers in a lot of industries. But when it comes to new customers, it's really got to be something that is very intriguing, something that's a challenge for me,
Mm.
or it's gotta be focused more in the construction field, which I work on risk transfer a lot. I like to help with contracts, help with, any way we can transfer risk with additional insured status, waiver of subrogations, different types of clauses in the policies, and how to structure things. I enjoy that portion of it. I'm a, real estate investor as well, so I work in that market. So I have apartmentcoverage.com, which we're focusing there on larger apartment buildings. But on the residential side, I still like to write houses, the rental houses, quadruplexes, things of that nature. And then I actually do a lot of risk management services when it comes to workers' compensation. That's one of my specialties. So when somebody needs help with their workers' compensation, it's not just about finding the best price. It's much more than we look at experience modification factors. We come in with programs such as return to work programs, safety programs that may not define a discount immediately, but it works towards discounts in the future, or collectively it reduces your frequency of claims and severity of claims. So that's something we work with when we have customers that are engaged for long term. So I definitely focus on that area as well. But I do dabble in a little bit here and there, but those are my main specialties.
Okay, that's a wide variety of things, and also the evolution that you went through, obviously, yes, over the years. So, how many people work with you to make this happen?
Right now, I've narrowed it down significantly. So I have some life changes now that my son's graduated from school, high school, and just shifting things up. He has autism, so now he's 21 years old. So I'm trying to get where I can work more with him and make his life more and more fulfilling. Give him some things to do that we can work on together. But I'm not stepping out of the insurance business. So things are a little bit different now. But before we had 7 people working at the office.
Hmm.
Now we've gone down to where my dad will help out when he's needed. I've got a business partner on one of the agencies that helps out a lot, and we have some support people there as well. So, but a lot of the commercial stuff I do myself, and I keep it at a manageable size, which
Mm,
sometimes manageable is questionable, but at the same time, I work hard, put a lot of hours in, I can make it work.
okay, okay, all right. And your son is joining anytime soon?
Joining the business, no, he can't. He's mostly nonverbal, so he's not to the point. That's where the change has to occur, and that's the things we can discuss with AI, since AI is the focus. But we are focusing on making things more comfortable to where I can work with him on his level. We
I
planted
see.
some blueberry bushes. We've got 9 blueberry bushes fresh in the ground in the backyard. We've looked at different things like I looked at a franchise restaurant at one point that we could, oversee. He loves food. I love food. That would have worked. We looked at some 24-hour gyms. We looked at some farms. We tried to look into cattle farming. We looked into a peach orchard and an apple orchard
Yeah,
before. So we've looked at different things that I can do with him to where I can maybe do most of the work and most of the finances of all the finances. But that's
but
why things have slowed down and I'm just a one person operation here.
understood, understood. Makes sense. But you're very dynamic, so you create this platform that you were mentioning before. You know,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Okay.
have quite a few. So if we're discussing the website, so what the transition here was that the hands-on, I still have to maintain that and maintain with customers
Sure.
to do a lot of the work because the things I work with and one of my key, strengths is going to be the specifics of the contracts.
Yeah.
To be able to customize and format to meet people's needs. So I don't want to give that up because that's a real advantage that I have. But the
Hmm.
automation is going to be the focal point because the automation can do a lot more, of course, than one person can. And you're seeing, I don't like the thought of the AI taking jobs. That sounds horrible. And I don't think that's needs to be, but in this case right here, it's not really, sometimes it creates more jobs in different ways. But in my case here, so we're pushing more towards at least the automation portion of it.
Hmm.
One thing that's worked very well for us recently that surprisingly, without putting any effort into it at all, except the website, is floodmarkets.com. So people are now going online, getting their own flood insurance quotes. It comes to me, I run it through another rater to see which company's going to be the best, whether it be National Flood Insurance Program or the private markets. Quickly shoot that quote off to them. Most of it's an online process and they can buy the policy.
Mm.
So there's a lot of work there that somebody else would be doing, but instead, the computer's doing a lot of the work. So that's actually coming in. 1 or 2 of those are coming in a day. I did not pay for any advertising whatsoever. I haven't done hardly any SEO work. The website's just producing customers for some reason. Don't know.
Okay.
Theapartmentcoverage.com, we're going to be implementing a renter's insurance portal there soon where the landlords of the apartment complexes that we work with, they can direct their tenants to our website to buy landlord insurance or renter's insurance online. Fairly inexpensive product. It's not a big money maker. It's more of a service for the landlord, so we can make sure that these people have
Uh-huh.
liability coverage if they damage the property accidentally with the water or
Yep.
set the place on fire. So that's automated. We have policy verification service. It's coming out soon, and what it does is actually will help manage those renters insurance policies, where we can monitor and see who has their policy lapse, who doesn't. It helps with compliance. So we've got some other stuff too. I mean, I've got a list that I could just keep going. But if
Wow.
you see the plan here is that I'm setting up these programs to where we can see which ones work, which ones don't. We can, not put much focus on some of them that don't work,
Yep.
but the ones that do really well, I'm gonna run with it. But there's the component here is that I need to free up my time, and I don't need to be working 60 or 70 hours a week anymore.
I
I need to
remember.
have a modest, more reasonable schedule and focus on my son. So that's why we're headed this direction.
Okay. Wonderful. So, yeah, turning lemons into lemonade, and constraints into possibilities. Yes, new possibilities. That's wonderful. So floodinsurance.com, apartmentcoverage.com, and what's the third one that you mentioned? Policy?
Policyverification.com.
Yeah.
And it's floodmarkets.com is the flood insurance website.
Yeah,
So it's got
floodinsurance.com. Yeah, yeah.
floodmarkets.com. I'd love to mention more, but there's a lot more. So I've actually been working very hard on that. So I've got a lot of websites out there.
And so what's interesting, so let's say you have 10 or 12. That's what it is, no? Or
Yeah,
more?
probably. I think I have 11.
Yeah,
11 that are either active or ready to be active.
yeah.
And then I've got a lot more domains.
So for our audience, so you don't do marketing, you don't do SEO. So how do you get people coming in?
Not yet. So I don't know how flood markets is working. It's just working. So I have no clue. I'm going to take it when it comes in. But being in the habitational space with apartmentcoverage.com, I'm in that space. I'm talking to a lot of landlords anyways. I've always had good referral sources. I may have sponsored a baseball team back years ago. I think I
Okay.
paid a radio spot maybe in 2010, which was 16 years ago. So I've always had good referral sources. Once you do good for one person, then they may refer somebody else. This always been this chain reaction. Been very fortunate to work with a lot of good people that want to see me succeed. So that's worked really well. I'm not too concerned about flow at all on any of these things. It's kind of pretty much if I put my mind into it, it always seems to work out very well. I do have strategies. I don't discuss the strategies because there's definitely some ways here I can generate business that I don't want my competitors knowing.
Okay.
But so far, I mean, no, I haven't. I haven't put anything into this other than buying domains and doing the websites myself for the most part. I paid for one of them. That was it.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. So tell me the trends that you see in your industry. What have you seen change? You've been in it for a while. You went through different iterations yourself. What do you see as major trends that impact your business today?
Of course, automation is the obvious thing in AI. Of course, that's going to be what the answer should be from everybody. And you're seeing that can be a problem, and sometimes it's a major disadvantage. It's a problem for us. So agents that have been around for a long time, and when we see it, AI will be making some mistakes, and there's not much room for mistakes in property and casualty insurance. We use it more as a tool for learning and education, of course, fact checking. I love to utilize it here to compare information to make
Mm,
sure the information that's being provided to us from the customer and it's on the applications is correct. It's not necessarily about the customer misrepresenting things. That does happen, but at the same time, mistakes can happen. Or maybe even if information through AI or these websites is incorrect and the
mhm,
customer is given the correct information, we need to be prepared before the underwriter comes back and says something's wrong. So we use it more as a learning and support tool. A lot of the carriers are using it, and it's more of instead of us being a creator of the AI, there it's more the carrier created the AI or paid to have it created. We're getting the benefit from it.
mm,
For example, one company in particular, and I don't want to mention the name because I don't know if I have permission to, but it's not a bad thing at all. But when they do home insurance or even rental property insurance, their system automatically uses AI to look at the roof condition, and they'll look and see what's the tree cover, what's the percentage of tree cover, how far are the trees away from the house. This
wow.
can be used as a rating basis. This can be used as a underwriting basis for eligibility. But the downside is if there's a cloud that's hanging over on one of the satellite images, they may think the roof's damaged. You see, different lights and tones will cause problems, but we are utilizing that indirectly for sure.
Mm,
Crime scores are a big thing. They hit or miss. They can be right. They can be wrong. From my experience, I've seen some that are very, very wrong. Where you have some neighborhoods that I know are great, but yet there's something in the area that may affect it. Sort of petty theft. Maybe some petty theft or some domestic violence issues that make it look like there's murderers and drug dealers on the corners. There's not. But the crime scores are impacting that. And then, of
mm,
course, we're seeing telematics. Telematics is huge, where truckers or individuals are using the phone apps or the plug-in devices to monitor how they drive.
yeah.
It separates them from the good and the bad.
Wow. So the tree, you use drones nowadays, or how do you?
We don't know. I mean, we do some inspections when required, but the
Okay.
insurance companies are using satellite imagery for a lot
Okay.
of this, and they
Satellite.
send inspectors out
Okay.
sometimes that use drones. Some don't.
Okay. Got it. So automation, obviously. So, well, tell us how you integrate into automation in your business today. You do it on your own? You have people coming and doing it for you, or?
Most of the tools are available out there now. I mean, AI can make automation, so I do utilize a lot of the AI programs. Use Grok and Claude. I use the different programs for different reasons. They help with a lot of that stuff now. I have some people in the industry that can assist when something's needed, where it's something a little more complicated. But in our space, there's a lot of tools out there that we can utilize from others that are developing tools that
Mm.
we can implement. And that's one of the keys to some of the websites I didn't mention is that there's some components there that other companies have, manufactured or created
Yeah.
we can utilize. And the fact that we're utilizing it just keeps us up to speed. Doesn't necessarily put us ahead because it wasn't our creation. It wasn't something that we, have exclusively here. But
Mhm.
there are agents out there that haven't caught on and probably won't catch on because
Mm.
so many people are in our industry are retiring out. The last thing they want to do is change anything. So we can either stay up with the pack or we can get a little bit ahead, but we're utilizing the tools that are being provided to us. It's just like a carpenter doesn't need to create a hammer. You can
Sure.
just go buy a hammer at the store. So
Yeah.
that's more of the industry here from a retail standpoint.
Uh,
The big difference here is going to be is you see the big insurance companies, it's almost to the point where they're too big to implement a lot of change. So they're doing it very incrementally, and they may do it in certain states and regulatory issues and things like that. So you've got this gap where you have they may be too big, but then over here you have these agents that are creating programs that may be a kind of a wholesale operation or an MGA situation where they're creating something. They're using the automation. And they can
mm.
do it on a smaller scale, and then they become the acquisition target. So
Yeah.
instead of the insurance company trying to create this themselves, they're having these smaller agencies set up these programs. Once the smaller agencies test it and they see that it works and they prove that it works, then these big players are stepping in and buying them out.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing a lot of that. So that's where the industry's going. And I've dabbled in that a little bit. We have a couple of things in the works that haven't been perfected yet, but it would be a great acquisition target for a big company. And that might be my exit if that comes about. We'll see.
I was thinking about that as I was listening to you. Okay, that's great. And what do you see as obstacles, maybe in the way of your strategies in automating, in preparing for potential exit, in multiplying those websites as well for incremental revenues? What could be the obstacles for you to fulfill your strategy?
I think the human resources portion of it's always been difficult. I mean,
Mm.
we have this whole move to where a lot of stuff's been going off the Philippines and India, which is great. I mean, there's difficulties to that program, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It works great with some people.
Yeah.
So, but people, here you have a lot of people work less. There's less people that want to do as much and they want to get paid more. And you're dealing with that. Some jobs that we would need that AI can fulfill now, it doesn't make sense to hire somebody. So that's one issue. But we didn't touch on this, but this is something that's a key point for me now is that the agency development is what we're working on. So we're working and I announced this on a podcast that's going to be published in a few weeks too, another podcast. But we're working on developing agencies to where instead of me out there doing the work and actually talking to the customers and doing all these things, we're trying to find people that specialize in certain industries,
I see.
bring them in that want to start an agency in which a lot of people want to get out of their industries. And a lot of people are getting too old to work in their industries if it's
Yeah.
physical, but they have all this knowledge and all these contacts. We're bringing them in. And that would be where we need people. We need those people. We got to find them. And that's difficult. Even if you were to go to a company and say, I need you to recruit, a staffing company, for example,
Yeah,
you
sure.
may not find the people that you really need to accomplish great things.
Yeah.
And then you hire some of these the companies to go out and find professionals. It may
Yeah.
be still hard, digging
Yeah.
in a needle in the haystack kind of
Yeah.
situation. So right now, I think the biggest thing for us is we need people. We need the right people.
Do you have a system to recruit them or?
Not yet. Maybe the podcast, maybe your podcast, maybe the other podcast. That's where I'm hoping we're starting with. I know people that would be a really good fit for this, and you just haven't approached them. I've approached a couple people and just mentioned it to them
Mm.
so far. But the key is going to have that to find that person that's ready to pivot because the insurance business is can be very you can make a lot of money in the insurance business, especially if you focus on one specific niche and just
Yeah.
really flow with it and become a specialist. That's where there's this missing bubble, huge hole over here that needs to be filled. But you don't find too many people that want to transition. You got to catch them at the right time.
Mm.
And then two, there's this big, and this is the service we're trying to provide here, is that when somebody switches over from their industry, most people won't make that jump because you look at
Of course.
insurance, especially commercial insurance, and it's
Yeah.
like, that's hard. There's a lot. If somebody doesn't think it's hard, then they're at risk big time because there's so many endorsements, so many exclusions, limitations on the policies. There's so many things that can be added to it that could just make coverage null and void. So if you buy a policy, are you
Yeah.
buying paper? Are you buying a PDF that's worthless? So you have to find those right people to transition over at the right time.
Yeah.
And that's where what we're focusing on here.
Mm. Got it. Then my next question for you is, we discussed this. Well, all right, people is the biggest obstacle, and you're working on it. So, if you had a magic wand, what would you change in your organization from an operational
Just
standpoint and from a marketing standpoint? Yeah.
I think right now, I mean, we need to figure out the marketing direction. So to broadcast more information about this agency development, because I do think the few people that we're looking for, it may be 1 in 10,000, and that's a big number.
Mm,
So depending on the reach of the podcast, and any other efforts that come up, I can, we need to find those people. And if it's 1 in 10,000 or 1 in 20,000 or whatever it is we're looking for out there, the broader we can reach, the better likelihood we're going to find the people that we're looking for,
well,
which will be beneficial for me, of course, and my family, but then also too for the people that we're able to recruit. It's going to be
mm,
very beneficial for them.
mm,
So that's the magic one would be to find a way to narrow that down a lot. Because my only concern would be is that there may be some people that aren't ready to start a business, not ready to put the work in, and it's really hard to screen that. I mean, we really need somebody that's ready to work. We're going to give them everything they need, help them set up the agency, the corporation, set up the systems, introduce them to the insurance carriers, the underwriters, training, do everything, turnkey insurance agency for the right people. But it's got to be the right people. And that's going to the magic one would be to how do we narrow that down very quickly to say if it's 25,000, how do we narrow 25,000 down into one to find that right person? That's the magic one.
okay. And what is the business model that you offer these people joining you?
It's going to be the agency development. So that's where we just basically will develop the whole agency.
Uh-huh.
So the idea would be is it's not going to be an agency for me. It's not going to be them bringing. I'm not going to bring anybody onto my agency. This is going to be an agency that they own the majority of. They have to have resources. Like they've got to have the business knowledge in their industry. They've got to have the contacts. They need to have some money too. I mean, we're not going to fund something here. We're going to have them come in. They'll be able to develop their business, but with the supervision from me, from the education, the guidance, the connections, because we can do this. I mean, this is so easy to set up an insurance agency after being in the business for 20 years. I've done it multiple times. I can set an insurance agency up, no problem. I
Mm.
can get these people in touch with all the people they need to talk to. And then as long as they're committed, they can run with it.
It's not a franchise system, though, huh?
I may own a small portion of the agency. That's all. So there'll be a charge for services, of course. We do
Yep.
want to have some money for my time because I
Sure,
can't just work for free.
of
And then
course.
a very small percentage of the growth of the company with a
Okay.
buyout clause to where if it gets really lucrative for somebody, they can just buy me out and I'll walk on.
Okay.
So it's all up for negotiation. But
Okay.
that's we don't know, like, when it comes to the magic one, when it comes to that point, I can't tell you what the magic one is we need until we identify who the actual agency owner will be. Because if it's somebody that says, "Hey, I've been roofing for 30 years, my back hurts, I need to do something different."
Yeah.
We talk about it, we may not need AI or any type of modeling. If they're just gonna go out and meet people and bring them back and send applications in and run quotes, you don't necessarily need anything specialized for that. When it comes to something like suretymarketplace.com, if somebody wanted to create something like that, which I own that now, but the customer can go online and they can buy the surety bond by themselves. They
Mhm.
can go do a title bond, probate bond, performance bond, everything can be done online. So we had somebody come to us and says, "Look, I've been in the legal world for 20 years. I retired. I let my license lapse. I shouldn't have done that. I want to get back into the space. I know all these judges. I know different court systems, and I know all about the probate bonds. We may need the magic one to narrow that site down to just focus on probate bonds, and they can mass produce it.
Hmm.
Trucking will have a different need. So we need a different magic one for that. We're going to need multiple wishes with that magic one, I hope. And so that magic one can just wave it right here, and then we got another one, we wave it over here, and then we can just create. But it's hard to tell until somebody presents the idea. And the easy idea would be is that if they know their stuff and they're in that industry and they have the contacts, you can start an insurance agency, no problem. But going back to the previous question we discussed, is that the automation is going to be very important to scale.
Mm.
So that's where the magic one comes in. I need to identify where they are, who they are, and at that point, we'll wave the magic wand to try to create that automation.
Mm. Got it. Okay, wonderful. You have a strong plan. Well, Harry, that was really very insightful as every time we spoke together. Thank you very much. I can only wish you to succeed and be closer to your son because you have more time. And it seems that you have a very strong plan and lots of irons in the fire, to cater to. So congratulations. I can't wait to see the progress and maybe in 1 year we'll have you back and
I
talk.
look forward to it. I'll be here.
Yes,
Good.
absolutely. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Francis.
I really
Okay.
appreciate it. Thank you.